The impossible happened. Hangman Adam Page, against all odds, against all the Death Riders' brutality, snatched the AEW World title from the clutches of Jon Moxley. After that absolute amazing Texas death match, the question on everyone's mind, the one that's tearing through the wrestling world like a rabid dog, is this: where does Jon Moxley go from here? Is he going to tear through the roster with an even more violent vengeance? Will he disappear into the shadows to plot his next bloody conquest? Or will we see a side of Moxley we've never seen before? Will he go back to WWE? Grab your popcorn, because we're about to dive deep into the mind of the paradigm shifter himself and try to figure out what's next for the man who just lost everything. When you look at Moxley's career in AEW, it almost feels like he's done it all. He's been in death matches, bloody brawls, technical clinics, you name it. He's faced literally everyone, from CM Punk to Kenny Omega to Bryan Danielson. So with that kind of resume, what's left to accomplish? The obvious answer is nothing. There is nothing really interesting that he can do under the AEW banner, which is why I believe he should consider going back to WWE. I know it's crazy and the possibility of him doing it is probably low, but it's the most exciting thing he can possibly do now. Something that would freshen him up and push him to even greater heights. Think about it. In AEW, Moxley's been the top guy, the brawler, the leader of the Blackpool Combat Club. He's bled buckets, won titles, and cemented his legacy as a legitimate tough guy. But that very success, that very consistency, might also be his biggest challenge now. What genuinely new territory can he explore under the AEW banner that would shock us, that would truly push him creatively and elevate him to even greater heights? A return to WWE as Jon Moxley, the established, dangerous, unpredictable superstar he is today, that would be an earthquake. It would be the ultimate paradigm shift. Imagine the storylines, the dream matches, the sheer intrigue of seeing him navigate that world on his own terms. It's the kind of move that could absolutely reignite his career in a way that nothing else right now possibly could, pushing him to heights we might not even be able to imagine. It's crazy, but is it crazy enough to actually work? But knowing Tony Khan, and after him losing his biggest stars in Cody and CM Punk, he is most likely to do everything under the sun to keep Moxley, after losing two such incredibly high-profile, fan-drawing, and frankly, controversial figures. Tony Khan is acutely aware of the optics and the impact of losing another top-tier talent. Jon Moxley isn't just a wrestler. He's a pillar of AEW's hardcore identity, a symbol of everything the company set out to be: unscripted, raw, and fiercely independent. He's arguably the most consistent main eventer and a foundational piece of their roster. Knowing Tony, you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to pull out every single stop to keep Moxley. We're talking blank checks, creative control, a personalized hot dog stand at catering if Moxley wants it. Anything to ensure that the Death Rider remains firmly under the AEW banner. All right, so we've entertained the wild what-if scenario of a WWE return. We've considered Tony Khan's likely, fierce resistance. Now let's bring it back to what's genuinely most realistic and, frankly, most likely for Jon Moxley in AEW after losing his world title: a deeply personal, wildly intense feud with Darby Allin. This isn't a new rivalry. They've danced around each other for years. Moxley has always had this sort of twisted respect, a big brother, tough love dynamic with Darby. He's called Darby championship material, but also questioned his judgment and readiness. We've seen them as allies, but there's always been this undercurrent of a master-apprentice dynamic, or perhaps more accurately, a predator observing his prey, waiting for the right moment. And that moment, the catalyst, just happened at All In. While the Death Riders were attempting to interfere in Moxley's Texas death match, who showed up, seemingly out of nowhere, to help neutralize the threat and ensure a clean finish for Hangman Page? Darby Allin, along with Bryan Danielson, putting an end to the Death Riders' interference. This sets up the perfect storm. Moxley, stripped of his title, already in a volatile state, will undoubtedly see Darby's interference as a direct betrayal, an insult to him. Darby, on the other hand, is a fan favorite, a daredevil who embodies the independent spirit that Moxley himself once championed. He's fresh off his own return and looking to climb to the top. What better way to prove his worth than by directly confronting the purveyor of violence who always seemed to hold him in his shadow. This feud writes itself, the raw, untamed violence of Moxley clashing with Darby's reckless abandon and unrelenting spirit. It's built-in history, contrasting styles, and a chance for both men to elevate themselves. Moxley to rediscover his most dangerous form, and Darby to solidify himself as a true main event player. Forget dream matches in other companies. This is the immediate, visceral, and incredibly compelling next chapter for Jon Moxley. But one thing is for sure, absolutely, positively has to stay away from the AEW World Title picture for a significant period. AEW has a deep roster of incredible talent who deserve a shot at that main event spotlight. Think about all the guys who haven't had a proper run with the world title yet, or who could genuinely benefit from that exposure. If Moxley is always in that orbit, it essentially blocks opportunities for others to step up and truly establish themselves as top-tier main eventers. And let's be honest, the Death Riders storyline largely wasn't as entertaining as it should have been. It often felt shoehorned in, and the new members, while talented, didn't quite mesh in a way that truly elevated the story or the group. Instead of enhancing Moxley's aura, it sometimes felt like a distraction or even a slight step down from the pure, unadulterated Moxley we know and love. The whole Death Riders angle just didn't click with the audience. It lacked that organic, compelling fire. So shedding the championship also means shedding the Death Riders baggage. It's a chance for Moxley to streamline his presentation, get back to what makes him truly dangerous and captivating, and focus on the kind of compelling, no-frills storytelling that fans do invest in. Moving past that storyline is crucial for him to genuinely reset and re-engage the fan base. Speaking of compelling, no-frills storytelling, and thinking about the implications of Bryan Danielson's dramatic return at All In Texas, the most intriguing and potentially explosive feud isn't just Darby Allin. It's the possibility of a direct, brutal confrontation between Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. A Moxley versus Danielson feud isn't just a fantasy booking. It's organic. It's a conflict rooted in years of shared history, mutual respect, and a devastating betrayal. Moxley, now without the title and likely looking to unleash his pent-up aggression, would see Danielson's interference as the ultimate challenge to his authority and his very being. And Danielson, perhaps in his final run, would be looking to settle old scores and reclaim the integrity of the Blackpool Combat Club's original vision. This is the kind of deeply personal, intensely physical, and character-driven rivalry that could propel both men and AEW into a truly compelling new era. So, while the debate will rage about what's next, one thing is for certain. Watching which new direction Jon Moxley takes next will be one of the most compelling storylines in professional wrestling. Because in this golden age of wrestling, anything truly is possible. And Moxley is just the kind of wild card to prove it.